following takes place between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. Events occur in real time. Okay, perhaps we should skip forward just a bit when I'm not slobbering in my sleep, dreaming about dancing kittens. Ha, much better. That's me. My name? Special Agent Jack Bow Wow. I work for a top secret organization called Q-Tip. Q-Tip stands for Questionable Training in Progress. Q-Tip is the training ground for some of the world's most powerful secret agents. I am a high-level supervisor who specializes in training young agents. Now, I've been told that we have a brand new group of recruits right here inside Q-Tip headquarters. Oh, what? You think this is a men's restroom? Wait till you see inside. Looks like nobody's here. Well, I was told by my boss that there was going to be a brand new group of recruits right here, and they were ready to start their training. I wonder where they could be. Oh, I think I might be getting a message about that right now. Let me read it. Your fuzzy kitten pajama pants are in the dryer. Love, Grandma. Oh, wrong message. I'm sorry, let me get to the right one. Oh, here we go. Well, it looks like headquarters says that you are my new recruits. Very well. I think I should probably catch you up as to what's been going on. Lately, we have been fighting against Q-Tip's arch nemesis. His name, Dr. Fullawax. Dr. Fullawax is a special kind of evil and a special kind of crazy. He's been trying to shut down Q-Tip's training program for years. We even hear that he recently stole a copy of our secret code book and is planning to use it against us. That's why we are wasting no time. Speaking of time, we've been doing a lot of studying of time lately. Oh, not just any time. Oh, no. We've been studying the last 24 hours of Jesus' life here on earth. You see, Jesus was God's son who left heaven and came to save the world from their sins. Jesus taught some amazing lessons in the last 24 hours of his life on earth. And over the next few times that we get together, you're going to learn some of those important lessons. Today's lesson is all about serving others. You see, Jesus was a powerful leader, but he also served others. He wants us to learn how to serve others as well. So today, you new recruits are going to go through several training exercises to help you understand how to serve others. I hope you're ready. Now, I may need to contact you throughout the day, so you just keep your satellite tuned into this frequency. I'll break in when necessary. Well, time is of the essence, so I'm going to let you get into your training right now. Until next time, this is Special Agent Jack Bow Wow. I love that. Signing off.
Good morning, boys and girls. This is Miss Cynthia. Thank you for joining me today. Well, this week we're going to start a new series, and the title of the series is 24. And so the first lesson in this series is how to be the greatest. And our Bible story is found in John 13, verses 1 through 17. And it's actually the story about Jesus, his disciples, and how he teaches them how to be servants, right? And so, boys and girls, in this series, we're learning about the last 24 hours of Jesus' life. You know, he went through a lot during those 24 hours. And boys and girls, it all started in the upper room of a house in Jerusalem. And so Jesus had gathered all of the 12 disciples into this room in order to have a meal with them. And so this meal was part of the feast of the Passover. And it's often called, or it's often referred to as the Last Supper. And so because it was the last time Jesus had a meal with his disciples, so that's why it's called the Last Supper, because it was the last time that Jesus sat, or that they all sat together to have a meal. And so, boys and girls, after the meal was over, the disciples and Jesus began to move away from the table and relax, you know. And so while the disciples talked, they noticed that Jesus got up. And so he started to take off his outer robe, and he wrapped himself in a towel, and he grabbed a bowl of water, And so the disciples weren't really sure what Jesus was planning to do, but they were very curious. They were just watching him, observing him to see what he was going to do next. And, so as they were watching him, suddenly Jesus began to kneel down and wash the feet of his disciples. So, something that you need to understand, during this time, or, in Jesus's time, the act of washing someone's feet was something usually left for the servant. In that time, people wore sandals everywhere they went. They didn't have sneakers or, tennis shoes or boots or anything like that. So they wore sandals everywhere that they went. And so, also we didn't have roads or concrete or paved roads or sidewalks, where everyone could walk. It was just dirt, so they were walking in sandals and dirt everywhere that they went. And so the roads were very dusty and dirty. So that meant that as you were walking, everyone's feet got dirty and dusty. And so often when people entered the house, when they got home, a servant who worked for that person, for the owner of the home, would wash their feet as they entered. Before they entered the home, servants would wash their feet. And so that way the dirt of everyone's feet didn't or wouldn't dirty up the house. And so when Jesus got to the disciple, to Peter, to wash Peter's feet, he said something. Peter said something. He said, "Master, you will never wash my feet." He felt that Jesus shouldn't be doing something like that. After all, Jesus was a very important man, boys and girls. He was the king. He was the King of Kings, right? And so he was the Son of God. And so he shouldn't be doing in Peter's eyes, he thought, well, Jesus shouldn't be doing a servant's job. Jesus should be served. And so Jesus instead, instead of, I guess, listening to Peter, he continued to wash Peter's feet, and so Peter led him. And so after he had finished washing Peter's feet and washing the feet of every disciple, Jesus stood and he taught something very important to his disciples, boys and girls. He said to his disciples, "Follow my example, do for others as I have done for you." And so he went on to teach that anyone who wants to be the greatest in the kingdom of God should take on the role of a servant. And so if you really want to be a leader, boys and girls, you must learn to serve others and put them ahead of yourself, And so that's exactly what we're going to learn about today. Going to learn about in our lesson today. You're going to learn that to be the greatest, boys and girls, you have to choose to humble yourself and to become a servant to others, and that's what Jesus did. And after all, we should be following Jesus' example, right? So let's go for our power verse today, and it's found in Luke 22:26, and it says, "Those who are the greatest among you should take the lowest rank, and the leader should be like a servant." Luke 22:26. So today, boys and girls, our lesson is titled, "How to be the greatest." And so have you ever wanted to be the greatest at something? Maybe there was a spelling bee contest at school and you studied all the spelling words, for weeks and weeks and weeks, just so you could end up being the winner, just so you could get the spelling bee trophy, or maybe you wanted to be, the greatest at basketball, or, just the greatest at anything, the greatest writer, the greatest, football player, or just whatever it is that you wanted to be the greatest at, and you practiced and you kind of had dreams of ultimately being the greatest, or receiving the trophy, or receiving the ribbon or the prize, and so, when you actually achieved it, when you got the trophy or the prize, you probably at that moment, you probably felt on top of the world, right? You felt like you were actually the greatest, or so maybe you have a dream, of one day owning your own restaurant or your own company, and people have to call you boss, because you're in charge of everything. And so maybe, you thought then at that point, I won't have to listen to anybody. I'm going to be in charge and everybody's going to call me boss and I'm just going to be the greatest, And so, hey, all of us have dreams like that, to be good at something or to be the best at something, And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be really good at something, But to be the greatest, boys and girls, at something, you have to be a boss, right? And so the disciples of Jesus often had those same dreams. They often had dreams of being the greatest. And so they were constantly, even so, or even in fact, they were constantly arguing with each other about who was the greatest, And that's why Jesus taught them the lesson that he taught them at the Last Supper. By washing their feet, Jesus showed them that even the boss, which is Jesus, must be a servant to others. And so, boys and girls, do you want to be the greatest? Well, to be the greatest in the kingdom of God, in God's kingdom, you must be a servant like Jesus. Jesus didn't act like he was better than everyone else. Jesus didn't treat other people as less of a person than he was. Jesus served others, boys and girls. Not only did Jesus serve by washing the disciples' feet, Jesus served the hurting, by healing their sickness and their disease. And Jesus served the lonely by spending time with them and being their friend. And Jesus served every person that he came in contact with, boys and girls. You see, he understood that being the greatest was not about bragging and treating others as less than he was. Being the greatest meant that you have a responsibility to help others, and to bless others. And so if you want to be the greatest, boys and girls, you must follow Jesus' example and serve others. And also, not only that, but if you want to be the greatest, then you must humble yourself. Jesus was a teacher. Well, he was the teacher, yet he was chosen to become the servant. Nobody made him do it. Nobody told Jesus, you must do it. Nobody forced him or threatened him that if he didn't do this or that, if he didn't serve others, then, nobody said that to him. He chose to do it, boys and girls, out of his heart, out of love. He chose to do it. He chose to humble himself. And so, you know what? That means that he chose to take the role that was less than him, or that was less than what he could have chosen, And Jesus could have forced the disciples to wash his feet. He could have said, hey, you, come over here and, wash my feet. After all, he was king, right? And the disciples were following him. So he could have made them wash his feet, right? But instead, boys and girls, Jesus humbled himself. And, he washed their feet and he showed them what it's like to serve others, right? And to put others first. And so, boys and girls, not only must you serve others, not only must you humble yourself, but you must put others first, right? And you have to be last. If you love others, if you're going to serve others, then you have to be last, boys and girls. Everywhere that he went, Jesus put others first. Instead of saying, all right, everybody, come listen to me because I'm the greatest, No, he didn't do that. Jesus showed others, how important it is to serve. He showed us that others were more important, by putting everyone else before himself. Jesus prayed for others. He healed others. He fed others. And boys and girls, he even bled and died for the sins of others. Jesus did not put himself first. Jesus lived always in a way that put others ahead of him. And so, like we said, even in his death, boys and girls, he put others first, right? He took our sin and our blames and just everything horrible about us. He took it up on the cross because he was perfect and he didn't have to do that. But he chose to do it, boys and girls. Why? Because he loves us, and he chose to be a servant, right? He chose to show us that we should put others first, right? And so, boys and girls, it's not easy. It's not easy, putting others first, and especially, I guess, when we have something to gain, right? When we want to be first and we want to win the prize and we want to, be called the greatest, or we want the fame and we want the fortune. It's easy, to put ourselves first, and it's very difficult, to put others first instead of ourselves. And it's difficult, but we just must practice it, and we must follow Jesus's example, boys and girls. He never once demanded that people treat him as a king, right? He knew he was a king, right? He's God, but he never said, "Okay, everybody, you have to do what I say because I'm the king." No, instead, boys and girls, he took on the role of a servant, and he put others first, and he put himself last. And so, boys and girls, can you imagine what a group of kids, what a group of children, would look like if they lived like this? Or what can you imagine? Not even if the world, boys and girls, if everyone in this world thought of others first instead of themselves. Can you imagine what that would be like, boys and girls? I can imagine it, but the reality of it is that we live in a broken world, right? And a lot of people are selfish and they put themselves first, and so that's why we make a mess out of things. So we really should, this year, we should learn to put other people first, right? And so, boys and girls, if we treated everyone with love and kindness and care and respect, everything would be completely different, right? So maybe we can focus on that this year, treating everyone with kindness and love and respect. And so, if you want to be the greatest, boys and girls, then you have to be like Jesus. Jesus was a servant, and we should be too. We should learn how to serve others, right? So let's go over our power verse today, and it's found in Luke 22:26. Those who are the greatest among you should take the lowest rank, and the leader should be like a servant. Luke 22:26. And boys and girls, my prayer for you today is that you practice being a servant, and you might say, "Hey, well, how can I serve? What are you talking about?" Let's start with something at home, right? How about we start with, I don't know, you know how to wash dishes? You can do that. You know how to make, I don't know, you know how to use a vacuum? How about that? Vacuum every once in a while. Or, you know how to use a rake? Go outside and rake some leaves. You know how to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches? How about make breakfast for your family one Saturday morning? Everyone have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with a banana shake or something. Yeah, you can serve. You can be a servant in your family, and then you can learn how to serve others at school, and then serve others around your community, right? And boys and girls, I encourage you strongly to this week think about a way that you can serve others. Just one person. How can you serve somebody else this week? How can you put yourself last and put someone else ahead of you? Put someone else first this week, okay? I love you guys, and I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next Sunday. Bye.